Alright guys, today we're going to step you through how to upgrade the Toyota Hilux, the 2006 model right through to 2013. Anything with this style of dash, okay, which has the widescreen rounded edges, it can be nav, non-nav, whatever you need to this new Kenwood unit. So this is a plug and play Toyota unit that's built by Kenwood. It's a DDX917 widescreen. It's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, very easy to do. So this is literally a couple of plugs and everything comes in the kit. They're around $1,000, simple and easy to do upgrade. Fix that Bluetooth problem, never upgrade your maps again, and you're really sweet. Do it yourself, honestly, you don't need to pay anyone. Takes you about half an hour to do. So we're gonna show you that on our channel right now. All right, so this is all that comes in the kit. So this unit here, it literally comes like this. This is that, like I said, the DDX917WS widescreen for Toyotas. So it actually comes with the plugs already built in. So these are the main power plugs and the speaker plugs. We're gonna show you how to wire them. Comes with dual USBs, a steering wheel control adapter. Now, your early model Hiluxes from 2006 up to about 2010 did not have steering wheel controls, but if you did, this is the latest adapter. So this will actually make them work without spending any extra money. Comes with a GPS receiver for accuracy on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, external microphone for really crystal calls, because you know those factory Toyota units, they're really terrible in terms of the Bluetooth hands-free. So this is an awesome upgrade. A couple of little tools you're gonna need. Non-marring pry bar, Phillips head screwdriver, some tape, soldering iron if you want. If you buy this kit through us, we're actually gonna pre-solder these wires here for you, save you some hassle. You know, cutters, 10mm, 8mm socket, and a knife is gonna make it easy. But first step's gonna be removing the stereo from the dash, so let's show you how to do that. All right, so this is a 2013, guys, so some of the earlier models might be a fraction different, but it's still this easy. You can use a non-marring pry bar, but these are so easy that you can actually just pop this front off. Now, some of the vehicles don't have this climate control section. They actually have 3 dials, okay? If you have the 3 dials in the center, pull the center dial off and there's a single Phillips head screw behind that dial, okay? So it's not any different, it still pops forward, but you just have to undo that screw first, okay? So very easy, it just pulls all the way forward, get your air vents out of the way, and then you're gonna undo any of these plugs on the back, okay? They've got a little locking tab on top of them. Very easy to do. Same on the one with dials, you're gonna lean it forward. On the dials, if you do have cables that hang out, you can actually just sit it down here. You don't have to pull it all the way out, and just put a sheet under it so don't scratch any of your dash, okay? But that's an easy way to do it, and very easy to do. Now, you're gonna have 4 screws to do. These are 10mm bolts, 10mm bolts on either side on the bottom and up the top, so you can actually see 2 here and 2 here. Now these are Phillips head as well as 10mm bolts, so we're going to use a drill, but be careful not to drop them as you go. You drop things, you lose things. Now, one of the other things to do before you pull the stereo out is check there's no CDs still in there. So just turn your car on, push the eject button, make sure there's none in there, because once you got it out, you don't want to be putting it back in. So there you go, you can pull the unit forward. Now on the back, all these plugs can easily come out. They just have locking tabs on them, on top of them. Okay, very easy to do. There we go, all out, and you're done and dusted. So there'll be a couple of different plugs varying between units. So this was a GPS unit, so it had a GPS antenna. This one here is gonna be your radio AM FM antenna. We've got a plug adapter for that. Here is your steering wheel control plug, which we have an adapter for that automatically, and your 2 powers. So it's gonna be very easy to do. The only thing we have to do is run the microphone. So we're gonna run it up here behind the rear vision mirror. That's gonna give us some really good sound. And we're gonna run that across, down, and under. Now, this gentleman, when we sell these kits, comes with a reverse camera. We've already mounted that up on the back of this unit. We do have other videos on our YouTube channel, Carbon Car Systems, where you're probably already on it. Check it out. We'll just show you how to mount that up and how to run it to the front, but we've already run that down the bottom here. We're gonna run it up and show you how to wire it, which is really easy to do as well. So let's quickly do that. I'm gonna put this on the bench, gonna undo this panel. We're gonna run the microphone into the center and show you how to mount the brackets onto the new unit. So let's go do that. All right guys, so once you got it out of the car, it's as simple as putting it on the bench the right way up, having the new unit the same way. We have carpeted benches if you want. You can lay something down so you don't scratch anything. There's going to be the 4 bolts either side, and you're going to look at, and these are going to line up exactly on the other unit. So it's going to be that simple. These can be tight, so you might need the 8mm socket sometimes. That's why we said 8mm socket is required, but sometimes it's not required if you don't want to strip these out. A bit tight. All right, move that straight up, and you'll notice it just lines up straight away into the same holes, okay? So it literally is built for Toyotas. It's not anything you're gonna have an issue with. As you can see here, go through, put your 4 bolts in, and do your other side. So this is taking, what, 30 seconds so far. There's one side done. All you gotta do is make sure you got it up the right way round, which you can always tell by the words. So. Don't over tighten these if you are using a drill. Just make sure you just get them so they're just tight. We have this tensioned on this drill, so there you go. There's the brackets that are going to bolt straight back up as easy as we pulled that out. So the only thing left to do is actually do the wiring. So let's show you that. We're going to run the mic first because that's the longest part. We're going to quickly run that. Then I'm going to show you how to solder up these wires for a reverse camera and how to do the steering wheel control interface, which is literally easy. So let's quickly do that. All right, so we've got our microphone. Now we're going to show you the quickest way to do this without removing this A-pillar, because you don't necessarily need to. You can if you want to be a little bit extra neat. Today we're going to show you the quick way because it's how a lot of people want to do it. You're going to pull the double-sided tape off behind the microphone. You're going to stick it right in the center onto the glass. So it's nice and neat. This gentleman's got dash cams and things in the way, but that doesn't matter. On the left-hand side here, we're going to pull this pinch weld off. So as you can see, someone's already run this other cable anyway. And we're going to mount the wiring behind that. Now we've got a little pry bar that you can actually just tuck it over, okay? And you actually don't need to pull it off. You pull that tight and under the roof lining, so you can actually pull it up here, run it around the corner, and as you pull it through, there we go. Pull it nice and tight. We'll go back. Just got to neaten that up as you go along. And that's literally going to be the hardest part of your whole install, is actually just sitting that up there nice and neat. Now we put a bit of double-sided tape up on this because it is a bit loose, so that way it doesn't fall down. But as you can see, it just takes a little bit to tuck it behind there. If you really want to, you could pull these off, just pop these off, and there are a couple of bolts there, and away she goes. But hey, let's make it easy for everyone here. Okay, that's all nice and neat, and then you can just push it in and put your pinch weld back on as you go. And that's not going to get in the way of the airbag or anything like that, so you're nice and sweet there. Now, the easiest way to do this is actually to run through on the left-hand side. There's a little gap on the left here. You're just going to push the hole through there, and it'll come out the bottom. And you stick your hand up and you just grab it, and that's as easy as getting your cables through, and you can push all your plastic rubbers back on. Now typically when we do it, we do pull that off and make it a little bit neater, but this is just a quick way for everyone who wants to do it themselves, and hey, it's still going to do a good job. Now when we run these over here underneath, we're going to run it under the glove box. We're going to loop it over some cables, and we're going to tie it up. You can use some cable ties or double-sided tape or tape, anything you want to make it neat. As you go along, I'm just going to loop it over some cables, and that's it. There you go. Now we're going to we have a reverse camera down the bottom, and you're going to stick our hand in, and you can literally reach down and grab the cables. So we've got a few different cables here, so let's see what we can get. Here we go. There we go. There's one. There's the microphone. This gentleman's run a reverse camera. We show you that, like I said, in a different video if you want to check it out. And there's the reverse camera run up as well. So everything we need is up in the center here. Now this bunch of cables is just a factory Toyota cables. You literally can remove those on this car, but we're going to leave them here because it looks like he's got something else wired into them, so we're not going to play with those. But let's go get the cables and we'll show you how to wire them in the car. And we're even going to show you how to tap in the reverse camera quickly as well, because that's going to be a common thing you get. If you buy the unit through us, we give you a free reverse camera. And you're also going to need the antenna adapter, which are normally about $15. We give you those as well because we know you need it. So that's very easy to do. So let's go grab those cables. All right, first up, your main power harness. Now, this will go into the only plugs that it will adapt to. So this is speakers and main power. So very, very easy, and that is done. Now, I'm going to cut open this little loom tie. You've got a couple of cables here that you will and won't use, okay? So you've got two cam positive, cam negative. You won't be using those. Power continued, which you can actually use for your power antenna, or you can use it for an amplifier. So we are gonna use that wire. Now you've got a light green and a purple white. So they both are labeled as well. One is parking switch, one is reverse light trigger. So that's what tells the unit to flick over to reverse light camera. Now the parking light switch, which is the light green wire, you wanna earth this out, because all that does is it stops you using DVDs while you're driving, okay? But it locks a few features out. So what we're gonna do is just earth that out, which is the black cable. So you can actually just strip it back, tap it on, and we're gonna solder that. Now the next thing we're gonna do is take the reverse camera. So if you have a reverse camera that's run, you need the power for the reverse camera, which is the little red wire. We're gonna strip that one back. So this is a SoundSkin's vision camera, so it has this power running out of the center of the cable to the rear. And we're gonna power that up. Oh, yes, okay. Dave just mentioned there is a bar here. When we put the unit in, we've got to be on top of that bar, so just be aware of that. So when you push the unit in, otherwise it'll cut on the cable, so just be aware of that one. Now, this purple-white cable, we need to just strip this back, not cut it, because we're going to run it down to the fuse box to power the reverse camera. So we're going to power it up here. Essentially what this will do is power the reverse camera to turn on the camera. It'll power the screen to tell the screen to flick over, and it's going to power off the reverse lights, which we're going to grab down on the front of the fuse box. So the fuse box is actually down the front here. Just pop it off. So I can't see, but there you go, popped it off. And you're going to run the length of that purple cable down there, out the bottom. So again, it's really easy to loop around. There we go. Give you a bit of length, and all we need to do is cut it the length there. And I can even tell you which wire it is. So this center plug here, vertical plug, I don't know if you can see that there. Yep, there we go. Dave's gonna zoom out, there you go. This center plug here, it's got about 4 wires in it. It is the red white wire that we want, okay? Now you can tap into that, so we're just gonna pull it forward. Just unplug it, actually give you a better view. So there you go, that's the plug there. And it's the red white wire. We're gonna tap it onto that. And that is the reverse light trigger. So when you put it in reverse, it actually gets power. And that's pretty important. It's what tells the screen to flick over. So you can use wire strippers, wire taps, whatever. We can give you some wire taps, but always prefer soldering if you're a professional solderer or even a hobbyist. And we can solder that on and plug that back in. So that's the reverse light, that is done. So that's near your left knee, so your driver's side left knee. From there, we're gonna do the antenna power as well. So the reason we're gonna do this now as well is just solder them all at the same time. This part number is from AirPro. It's an APA 75. You can get them from Stinger Australia as well. And I think also DNA in Australia is another company that sells them as well. Not usually that expensive. They're about $10 to $15 plus freight sometimes. So the little square one with the round hole, that's gonna be your antenna power, or your antenna, sorry. And you're gonna have this little blue wire. Now it is important that you power this up. That has to go to your power continued, the blue white wire. You can also tap onto that later for an amplifier, but this just gives your antenna power to give that boosted signal and clear signal all the way through, okay? And we're gonna tap that onto each other. If you do buy this loom through us, we will give you this antenna. And like I said, we will actually pre-wire everything like this handbrake wire, and we won't be able to pre-wire the reverse light trigger, unfortunately, but you can run your reverse lights, and that's just showing you how to do it. It's very, very easy. If you have, that'll work for every aftermarket camera that you have out there. It does need power to the front unit. So even if you already have a camera in the car, that will still adapt up as well. So we're just gonna solder this on. Quickly, bear with us. Gonna solder the blue one. And solder the black and white one as well. Sorry, black and light green. And that's done. Now just make sure you don't burn anything. Oh, Dave just mentioned we actually have to solder the cable down the bottom here as well. Sorry guys, I'm just thinking stereo. Might as well solder it all while the iron is hot. There we go. It's a nice neat solder joint. Perfect. All right, now we're going to tape those up. If you've seen any of our videos, we use test tape. So just a cloth tape. Insulate those up, make them look nice and neat. Some of the older cars actually don't need the antenna adapter. Some of the real old 2006, 2005, but I'm going to give it to you anyway for the sake of you don't ever want to get to the job and be missing it. And you've got to go out and find it. So we're going to give it to you in the kit and make sure you got it. We're also going to give you a reverse camera if you haven't got one, even if you don't need it, because we figure everyone wants one. If you don't need it, hey, sell it on eBay, get your money back. Probably make a profit. All right, so there we have it. So that's all our reverse lights, everything we need. Now the only last wire that we need is our steering wheel controls. Now not all cars are going to have this. It's obviously only if you have factory steering wheel controls. You cannot add steering wheel controls at a later stage. It's not physically possible. So this model car is a 2013. They actually did this shape up until about September 2013 from memory, and then they switch over to a new style of dash which needs a fascia kit as well. So we're going to put a video up on that one. That's a 2014 model, so that is the later model, not this model. It is a different install. So what we're doing here is just neatening this up a bit just to keep it all factory looking rather than that big clump of mess that was there before. So it keeps it all nice and neat. All right, so here we have our 24 pin plug. Actually, I think it's 28 pin. And there's only one place it will go also. Get this big clump out. Now, sometimes you have this big clump in here. That is just a big T-piece, so you can technically unplug all that. And that is just for the factory unit. It just gives it reverse, handbrake, and a few other things. So you can either unplug it and plug it in there for the steering wheel controls, because the steering wheel controls are these 3 wires here. So you could actually just technically unplug that and we can get rid of that. We actually might do that for this gentleman. And you can plug that straight in. Now, if you don't want to unplug that, if you're a little bit unsure, it does just T-piece. So that plug is actually there. So we could have left the other one there and just plugged it in there. It's not going to be an issue. This wire that they've got running down here, as we can see, we'll just cut that off and we're going to loom that up. But this red wire is actually, I think it's just the handbrake wire from memory. So that actually just earths out the original deck to tell the original deck that it's been stopped. So we're going to loom that up for him just to make this install a little bit neater. So there you go. But you guys might have that in the car. If you've got the genuine deck, that's going to be a common thing that you'll see. Now, that's all the install we need. We just need to do USBs and GPS antenna now. So the GPS antenna is required, even though the unit we have put, or are putting in, sorry, does not have GPS built in. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for the navigation. And if you're using Android Auto, you're going to get Google Maps and Waze Maps. The GPS receiver just makes it more accurate, okay? And they auto set the time and a few other things as well. So there's all our cables. Now, it's important when you do these these 2 USBs. So the Kenwood's got 2 USBs. It is important that you have access to them. One you can put in the glove box, whichever one's going to be your spare one. But the main one, which we suggest you make the black one, does Apple CarPlay and Android Auto out of that one. The grey one only does Android Auto. So let's put the grey one in the glove box. The main one they're going to use all the time. Ask yourself where you're going to easily use it or be accessible. For this client, we're going to have it come out these bottom holes here. We're going to undo this. I'm going to pop one of them out and run it through there. So literally going to pop that out from behind, run it up, and run one into the glove box. And that's easy. So you should be able to reach behind. I've never done this on this car, but let's have a look, see if we can do it. There you go. One popped out from behind. So it's as simple as that. You can drill a hole in that and have it come through, or you can just run it through. So let's show you. Pretty easy to do. You can run it however you like, whatever you just feels neat. You can actually buy pass-through USBs for Toyotas on eBay. Very easy to get, where you can plug them in and pass through. But if you do that, make sure you don't get really long extension cables, because there is a serious problem with current drop when you use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So the longer the cable, it's actually not going to work. It'll actually tell you the device not supported. So there we go, we just run one into the glove box as well. And you can actually sit that in there. You can charge a separate phone in there or a secondary USB or whatever you need. Just gonna grab this GPS antenna. GPS antenna, we're gonna stick this up around the back here. We're gonna stick it on top of this clock section. It can be under the dash then, and there's no metal above it. So there's little double-sided tape. It's already bundled. You can just put your hand up and behind and it will stick up there nice and neat on top. So you're sort of lifting up on here and pushing down, you got pressure, it'll sit around there. Now this cable here, you can put a little bit of length on it, make life easier. And again, we're gonna put a bit of tape around that. So we're almost gonna do all this in one shot actually. We're not gonna probably turn the camera off. We're gonna plug the unit in now. We're gonna be putting it back in. How's that for the timing on this thing? So it's really easy. On the back of this, you really can't go wrong. All the units just plug in. If you've seen any of our videos, if you're unsure, you can go back and go through them and watch it. The only one is you've got 3 different camera sections. So just make sure you get the one that says rear view camera. It's got written on it. You just want to make sure that one actually becomes your rear view camera. These units can actually run a front camera. If you want to run a front camera, which you can turn on from the unit, or you can run a dash camera as well. So that from Kenwood, the DRVN 520. It's a pretty cool dash camera, but it's only front only. So if you want rear as well, look at some of the other dash cameras on the market. So we have our microphone. So it's just a matter of going through and plugging everything in. We're gonna have our microphone, our antenna. Now, cool thing about YouTube videos, guys, if you think we're going too fast, you can pause the video, you can rewind the video. But for the sake of not watching a half an hour video, you can watch a 10-minute video. Let's just plug everything in, color for color. And we just put tape around these just to make sure they don't come loose. You don't have to use tester tape, you can use any tape. It's not specific. Now this one I will tell you, so this is steering remote. That's a little 3.5mm jack. It'll actually say remote in. So it actually says 2 different things, so just be aware of that one. It'll only go in the one spot. Actually, there is another spot it will go in, so just be careful of that one. There is a 3.5mm AV jack input down here. It's not that one, it's the one at the top next to the microphone. So just be aware of that one. That one you might get tripped up on. Power can only go in one way. And we are beautiful. Now, I'm gonna tell you one thing, because if you decide to sell your old stereo, which you can sell them, pull this out, this little green plug. So this is an old navigation unit. Make sure you pull this out. This is the actual GPS receiver for the old unit. So if you want to sell the old unit, you actually need that to make it work. So pull that out if you're going to sell it, get some of your money back. Like if you're going to buy one of these units, honestly, I upgraded to this unit in my car and I sold the old one. Like this unit cost me what, $1,000, and I sold the old one for like $700. So I mean, you got most of my money back. So it's an easy upgrade to do. I don't know why you'd buy the old one, but maybe some people just, you know, don't know about these units. But all right, so we're just going to put a screw in here just to tighten that into spot. And the next step we're going to do is we're going to turn the car on, just make sure it all works. So it's a very important thing to do before we actually put the next panel on. So Dave's going to turn that on while I do these up. Turn it. There we go. All right, we're loading up. Now, interesting fact, you can change this startup screen to be a Toyota logo. So you can actually go on our YouTube channel and we have a video showing you how to change that startup page so it looks genuine Toyota. It's pretty cool. Now, a couple of things we're going to check for is we're going to program the steering wheel controls, make sure the reverse camera works. You would pair up your Bluetooth, make a phone call, make sure your mic's plugged in. That way when you pop it all in, you'll set up, you're going to turn off the demo mode, go into camera, and we're going to turn on reverse camera interruption, okay? Now you can turn guidelines on or off. If your camera does not have guidelines, this unit will produce guidelines for you, and that is done. You can actually set up your display and a few other things on there as well. Tick this box if you want to remove this message automatically after 10 seconds. I would suggest doing that because it will show every time. Now, first up, let's test the reverse camera. We haven't mounted the reverse camera, so we're just making sure it flicks over. So we haven't actually plugged it in. So there you go, you can see the unit actually switches over, so that's a good sign. Now, next step is program the steering wheel control. So we're gonna go into settings. So we can push this little button over here, settings, user interface, steering wheel controls. Now, it'll take a couple of seconds and it'll come up with, this will light up, learning completed. Now, don't press that straight away, but once it's lit up, you're gonna come to your steering wheel and you're gonna push the buttons on it. So let's go volume up, push that for 2 seconds, and do volume up. And you're just mapping the buttons to the function on the radio. Volume down, track up. So we use track up for this up button. You can use seek up, but track up's better because it does radio as well as track. So it's a good way to go. Track down, we have a mode button. This is why the Kenwood unit's good. So that's a source if you want to use mode, is because this is all built into it. You don't have to actually buy an extra adapter, which is generally roughly $100. So this makes it really cool and easy to do, and you can actually map them to different functions if you want. So we're using the hang up and answer button there, but you could make that hang up and answer in one button, and the second one you could make voice activation, because the CarPlay has voice activation. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to click complete, and on the home screen we can test it out. So we can actually go volume up now. We'll go to radio first to make sure. So volume up, volume down, track up, track down, so you can see it seeking. Go mode, it will flick through the modes, and if you did a phone call, it would make a phone call as well. So that is pretty much the install. We're just going to put all that back on now and you're done. So I suggest testing your Bluetooth. Make sure you do that before you put this cover back on. It saves you a bit of time. So pair up a phone, make sure it works. Plug in your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, make sure that works as well. This unit is really, really cool. It has air gestures, so you can actually swipe in front of the screen and it does different things. So left, right. So there you go, you can see that went mirror casting. Right, didn't do anything at the moment. Up goes back to home. So you can set up those gestures to do different things. So if you had a front camera or rear camera, just swipe in front of the screen to make it do that. It has adjustable screen. So if you're getting glare, you can actually adjust the picture and see where the glare is going to be. They do use a capacitive touchscreen, so it is really, really cool screen because it's much like your iPad and smartphone. It's not pressure touch, it uses current in your body to adjust that. CD DVD is behind. You can use that while driving for your passengers, okay, as a safety thing. And another cool aspect for the glare is in the viewing settings display, you have viewing angle. And this is a big one because if you're getting glare, you can't see the screen, it's no good, right? So this will allow you to visually adjust the projection of the image to give you a better view, okay? So cheaper units don't do things like that. And you can actually change all the colors, the background. It has wireless mirroring for the Android Auto guys. The Apple guys, unfortunately, you miss out on the wireless mirroring at this stage. Built-in Bluetooth hands-free, microphones, everything like that for crystal clear calls. Normal AM, FM radio. It does not have DAB Plus radio, but it will run Spotify, music apps, everything from your phone, USBs, Bluetooth, CD, DVD. So, I mean, really DAB Plus radio. Hey, it's not a big loss for an easy install. But there you go, guys. Pretty cool. Easy install. I would say what? Maximum half an hour to do that install start to finish, so pretty easy.